Hey guys, I'm Lorentz from Iwood Cosplay, and today I'm going to show you guys how I made my Kirishima mask. For this build, I'm going to use 2 pieces instead of 1 piece, like my first mask. I'll have a link to the pattern or the kit in the description down below. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a bevel along the guidelines you see here. Always make sure you have a sharp blade when working with foam. Carefully angle your blade along the guideline to create your first bevel. Your first bevel should look something like this. Continue along the guideline, keeping the angle consistent. This can be challenging, so I suggest practicing on a scrap piece of foam. Here's the rest of that bevel edge. Now for this last 2 edges, I'm going to create a bevel that's going to be more angled, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Here you see the bevel is wider and goes almost all the way to the other end of the foam. Now I'll do that for the other end as well. So the trick is to keep this bevel along this tip and this corner right here. Don't worry if it's not clean, we can come back with the Dremel and clean it up. Now I'm going to do that for the other side as well. Now that I have the bevel on the left and the right, I can move on to the next part. Because this mask is a 2-piece build, I'm going to create a bevel along this edge. This helps create more depth when I put the 2 pieces together. So the beveled edge should look something like this. Do that for the rest of the edges along the midline of the mask. With the bevel edges along the midline of the mask, 2 pieces should sit together like this. Now I'm ready to put contact cement. Of course, heat seal your foam first. Apply just a little bit of contact cement and then let them dry. Once they're dried, I'm going to carefully put them together like so. Now that the 2 pieces are joined together, we should have something that looks like this. Once again, this is my first time building this template, so I'm test fitting it on my face to see how it fits. So after studying the mask on my face in the mirror, I didn't like how the nose was fitting. That's not too big of a problem, I can always improvise and trim on this portion of the nose. This will vary from individual to individual. Once you trimmed off the excess, remember to add the bevel to the edge. So that's the new length. We'll just use some contact cement and put that mask together. So the first piece is going to be a bevel strip. Using one edge of the foam, I'm going to create my first bevel. Once you've created your sacrificial edge, you now have a bevel on your piece of foam. Now I'm going to create my first beveled strip along this edge of the foam, like so. With the beveled edge slightly in front of the ruler, I'm going to line up the straight edge and then make my next beveled cut. So the end result should look something like this. So these beveled strips are going to sit on the mask like so. But I realized that 10mm beveled strips are too big for the details I intended, but they're perfect for the teeth, which I'll show you guys later. So I'm going to remake the beveled strips using a 6mm EVA foam instead. Here are the new beveled strips. I like these much better. So the next thing I'm going to do is position and mark where the rest of the mask detail is going to sit. That way I know how much and where I should apply the contact cement. Here I've already applied the contact cement to both pieces of the foam. So for this portion of the mask, to make it more form-fitting, I bent it a little bit before putting the pieces together. If you do it right, it should look something like this. Of course, this is going to vary from individual to individual. Here I'm applying contact cement to the rest of the mask detail. And once again, I'll do the same thing to the cheek portion of the mask, making it more form-fitting. Do that for both sides and you should have something that looks like this. So far I'm liking how the mask fits on my face. Now for the rest of the details. Now to make the teeth. We're going to take those 10mm strips that we made earlier and cut a diagonal along the tip of this beveled edge. Now your teeth doesn't have to look exactly like this, but you get the idea. Now the hard part is to produce another tooth that looks like this. Don't worry, this part is not really systematic. You just have to cut a bunch of them until you find 2 that you like. So I found the 2 that I like, and I'm going to move on to the bottom piece. So the top 2 pieces should leave the ends with a diagonal. You want to cut this perpendicular and those bottom pieces you produce will be the bottom teeth. Once again, just cut a bunch of them until you find 2 that you're happy with. Okay, so this is the set of teeth I'm happy with. All I have to do now is glue it onto my mask. This is the mask with all the details glued on. These are the 2 6mm strips we made earlier. All that's left is to make these craters for the magnets. In order to do that, I'm going to use a Dremel with this polishing wheel. I'm using this bit over this one because this takes less foam and you have more control when you're making this crater. Here I'm carefully making the crater for the magnets. I don't know any other way to do this without a Dremel, but if you do, let me know in the comments down below. Now that I have my crater, I'm going to take my hot glue and apply a little bit of it inside the crater. Carefully grab your magnet and place it in the crater with hot glue. Hold it for a few seconds to make sure your magnet is tightly bonded with the hot glue. But of course, we know hot glue is not going to hold on to something smooth like a magnet. So what we're going to do is apply a thick layer of hot glue over the magnet to ensure it won't come out during convention. Okay, so once you have the magnets securely in with the glue, you're basically done. This, I didn't show you guys, but it's plasti dip, 2 coats, and then I used clear glossifier plasti dip. That's why it has this nice sheen to it. I really like the sheen because what it does is it highlights the damage, the battle scars I put into it. That part I didn't show either, but I'll have a separate video for that. If you're interested, I'll have it in conjunction with this so you guys can see how I do that. But I'll put this wig on so I can't see. Okay, so here's how it look. I put new magnets on. If I pull it back, it looks more fitted, in my opinion. So you just push the magnets back here behind your ears, and then the mask should fit snug. Once again, this pattern is going to differ based on your face shape, of course. So I just need to use some glue and stick that onto my nose. Spirit gum will probably be a good choice. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is get the Dremel with the drill bit and drill these holes into the cheek portion of the mask. So these rivets will sit in the holes we just drilled. I'll have them in the description down below where you can pick them up. With some super glue and friction, these rivets should sit in the mask like this. That's how you make a Kirishima mask. So feel free to take any techniques you learned from this video and make your own. But I do have a pattern and a kit available in my shop, so you guys can check that out in the description down below. I also have an Amazon affiliation now, so you guys can shop for materials and tools in the description down below. That helps me and Iwood Cosplay, so that'd be super cool so I can keep producing these videos for you guys. Other than that, check me out on Instagram. That's where I'm most active. Hit me up there if you have a question or leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you guys. Other than that, like this video if you like it, subscribe if you haven't already. Until then, I'll see you guys. Bye.